Have you ever been called a band geek, a theater nerd, cyber dork, studio rat, gamer punk, orchestra dork, book monkey, drama jock, Poindexter, artsy fartsy, or just plain weird? Well then, welcome to Art Nerds. This is the podcast where we sit down with our nerdy friends, embrace our inner geek, and celebrate our art. And welcome back, my friends. This is Art Nerds, the place where we talk with our nerdy friends about their artwork. Today, on the other microphone, I have a new but a very good friend of mine. This is Ranae Wilson. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing good. You're all giggly.
I am. I'm so excited.
Yay. Okay, well, let's jump right into it.
Sure.
Ranae, what is your art?
So I think my main art would be theater performance, which has evolved, I think, a lot over the years in a lot of different forms that I didn't necessarily see coming, but also creative writing, which I don't actually talk about very often.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? Theater or writing?
Yeah, let's start with theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said it evolves.
Yeah.
Over,
yeah.
How do you mean? I mean, where does it start? Where did it start?
So for me, it started in fourth grade. I preface this by saying no one in my family, like immediate family, extended family, no one does theater. I have no idea why I decided to start it. No clue whatsoever.
That might be why we get along.
That might be.
My family too. I am the so-called black sheep.
Oh,
because I have my dad was an engineer, my mom was a nurse, my brother is MBA. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And I'm in the arts. So.
Well, and see, so my dad was military, and so
interesting.
So we actually traveled around quite a bit, and growing up, I got used to moving every 2 years and not knowing where we were going next, and so fourth grade, we were living in West Virginia at the time, and I don't even remember where I saw that they were having auditions, but they were doing a production of The Hobbit, and I said, "Well, that seems fun. Let's do that."
Did you know what The Hobbit was at that time?
No. No clue. No clue whatsoever.
You just wanted to audition for something.
Yeah. I played a grocery boy and I had like 2 lines and I was like, this is so fun. And so after that, I was like, I'm going to do the next one. And my mom's like, okay. And luckily, thank goodness I have parents who are like, whatever you want to do. Like, if that's your thing, go for it. Because nice. I went back and forth between doing theater, but then also very much into sports. So I was one of those like going back and forth between, and to this day, I'm still very much the same. Like I love doing sports and like going to the gym, but I also really enjoy being in the theater. And so, it evolved because I think that I didn't know anything about musical theater. Like I never did a musical up until high school, and I knew what they were. I had seen them, and I enjoyed singing, but I was really shy and did not want to sing in front of people. And so I did Cinderella in high school, and, I was in choir, but like in choir, you're singing with a whole group of people.
Right. You're just standing there.
Yeah. You're standing there and you're not having to like like you can do solos here and there, but it's not like an entire number.
Right. You're not drawing attention to yourself.
No.
To the degree.
I liked fitting in with everyone. And so I
which I find to be a contradiction, but
yeah.
But like you said, it evolves.
Yeah. Well, and it was interesting because when I went to school for college, so I actually went to the University of North Carolina at Wilmington.
Okay.
And when I graduated high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to probably pursue theater, but I had no idea what I wanted to go. And so I actually, a lot of people don't know this, I actually auditioned for North Carolina School of the Arts.
Really?
I did. And the thing is, the day of the auditions, we're sitting in the proscenium theater that they have, and they're talking, they're giving the orientation for the day and getting everyone settled, what to expect for the day. And they're saying, what to expect during your time at the school were you to get accepted. And I'm listening and I'm sitting there and I go, I don't want to go to school here.
Okay, well, what turned you off then? I mean, what?
I think I realized that I didn't want to go to a conservatory. I wanted to go to a school that had more than just the arts to offer.
Okay.
To kind of have a bit of a variety, And they were very specific about, you don't get to be seen by the public until your junior year. Like when you're doing work as a freshman and sophomore, because you are a representation of that school and they're putting out a specific product, they don't feel like you're ready until your junior year.
Oh, I don't like that program either at this
no,
point.
And it may have changed a lot since
right,
then.
But
but at the time, and I found it interesting when I went in for my audition, one of the things that seemed weird is they were asking a lot of questions about, well, what do your parents do? And what is it? To me, it felt like they were looking to see, well, how are the financial means of your parents so that if you were to graduate, like, are you going to give back to our campus?
Right.
And I felt like it was more of a moneymaker to them than it was actually getting people who were invested in developing their craft. And so, I
would cringe away from that too a little bit, I think.
So I don't feel like I gave a good audition because I think internally I already knew I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I took a gap year and I worked like 3 jobs just to make money and went to community college for a year. And then I applied to UNCW, having never visited Wilmington, got accepted and moved there sight unseen.
Wow.
And got my degree in theater performance. And even then at school, still never did a single musical. And people would talk about musicals and they're like, oh, what about this show? And what about this show? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't know any of these shows. And so I felt like such a nerd for not knowing anything. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you've never heard of this. And I was like, I mean, I've seen Phantom. I know what that is.
Okay. I'm going to... I'll up you by a little bit of a hair. I was the same way in high school. I mean, my high school had a marvelous instructor named Mr. Nelson, and he taught communications and he taught a theater class. But he was the theater program, and he by himself figured out how to put on 2 full plays a year. And he had this following and the Thespian Society behind, and we loved him. And I did 2 shows a year through high school, not one musical.
Yeah.
Went to college, a little Eastern Illinois, a little liberal arts place. 4.5 years there, at least 1 show a year, not one musical. I was a musical snob. I honestly avoided it. Yeah. But I understand what you're talking about in terms of, I don't know if my experience was there or just my heart wasn't in it. I don't know, but. It sounds like the same thing you were going through at the same time.
Well, and I had a theater teacher in college who was very hard on her students, to the point where maybe a little too hard on students. Yeah. She never cast me in a single one of her shows.
Really?
And so in my head, I'm thinking, am I just not good enough? Why can I not get cast in a show? And I mean, she told me one time in her office, she's like, I'm hard on you because I see your potential. And I was like, yeah, but you don't have to make me cry in class. And she's like, well, that's a you problem.
Oh, that's not fair.
I love her dearly to this day, but yeah, she,
harsh.
But she helped me develop a very thick skin when it came to theater. And so when I graduated, many years ago, I moved back up here because my family had moved back up here. And I was like, okay, I want to get involved in theater. And I want to immerse myself in the community here. And I didn't know where to start. And so Rantoul, I think, I'm from Rantoul. Okay. I saw that they were having auditions for Hello Dolly. I knew nothing about Hello Dolly, but I was like, I want to audition. And so I auditioned and I got cast and I went to the very first rehearsal and I was like, this is not it. This is not it. And it was very strange. Not a single person talked to me. And there was, you could already tell a lot of people knew each other. And I was like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. And so CUTC happened to be having auditions at the same time for Sweet Charity. So I went and auditioned for that and I got cast and I told the people in Hello Dolly, I'm so sorry. I got cast in another show and I can't do both of them at the same time. And thank God I did, because I then spent from 2009, probably up until just a few years ago, I that's kind of what kickstarted my, I guess not career, but like my path into musical theater. Yeah. Have done so many shows with him, and I've been very fortunate that I've done a lot of shows with most of the theater companies in town. But I love being an ensemble member. I love ensemble work.
Why? Because I think, again, I understand it.
Yeah.
I can answer it for myself.
Yeah.
But why?
For me, especially with musicals, you cannot do a show without an ensemble. You can't.
Sure. They
help carry that show. Like, you can have amazing leads, but like the ensemble is what, like, they're working together as a unit. You know, having just seen SpongeBob, which I know I heard you got to be involved. Yeah. One of my best friends, Chelsea Collier, directed that, and I was so proud of her. You know, that's another show where it's like there's so much happening. Mm-hmm. And you have to have a strong ensemble of people working together because there's so many moving parts. But for me, I love being an ensemble member because I always know that I have other people there to support me.
Okay.
And I always know
That's an interesting take on it.
Well, for me too, I think it's less pressure because a lot of you are doing a lot of the same thing. And so I liked to blend in. Because I was still very shy. Like it took me going to karaoke.
Really?
Yeah. After Sweet Charity, one of my friends in the show, his friends used to own Memphis on Main downtown before it got bought out. And so now it's like the Venue CU, that area.
Yeah.
So we used to go there every Thursday night and sing karaoke. And over time, I started to get a little bit more confident in my ability.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I know I can sing because I'm getting cast in shows. But again,
it's that being the front man.
Yeah, it's very scary, which is why, you know, KT Burke, who you just had recently, when she cast me in Mamma Mia, there were multiple times that I had imposter syndrome. And I would go up to her and say, are you sure that you want me as Donna? Because I had a hard time believing that it was like, okay.
Okay, I have a hard time believing you. And I say this only because I met Ranae as a director when I cast her in a show last year. And your acting chops are phenomenal.
Thank you.
No, I mean it.
Thank you.
You're one of the strongest actors I've worked with in a long time.
Thank you so much.
But you not having the confidence to do anything just strikes me as just because, you know, seeing you on stage and seeing you take chances and seeing you, you know, we got, you know, with the role you had in, you know, we did the play She Kills Monsters. With the role you had in that, by the time we got down to the last week, you weren't just going through rote. You were playing. You and everybody around you were playing with the lines and playing with the character. Yeah. And there was a confidence and a skill that was way above community college. And that goes for everybody in the cast. Yeah. But to hear you say you don't have the confidence to do that, like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I think it's... Thank you for saying that. It definitely helps when you have really great scene partners to work with. And I had some amazing, like Emma playing Agnes is just fantastic. And Mikey Ruby, I cannot wait to see his journey. I know. I am obsessed with him on stage. Like, and
Isn't
just
he
as a person, he's so great. And he's so wonderful.
Like just those tiny little interactions between you and like Spencer Hayes.
Spencer's wonderful.
You may have had 5 words between the two of you the entire show. Yeah. But these little interactions are just
well, and see, and that's where I've always felt confident with acting.
Right.
Like, I've always felt very secure in that. It's when you add the singing and the dancing. Like, I'm not a dancer. I have rhythm, but like on my acting resume, when it says dance, mine says I can move. That's what I put for dance. Right. Like, I'm not a dancer. Right. And so, you know, being in Mamma Mia, which requires choreography,
A lot, yeah.
and a lot of singing, every night, I kid you not, opening night, I drove home bawling my eyes out because I was so overwhelmed and humbled by the nice compliments that people were giving me. I could not handle it.
Oh no.
I was so overwhelmed by it. In such a beautiful way, but like, you know, that opening weekend, my parents, you know, it was at the Station Theater, which if you've ever been, it's a tiny space, but my family, I think, bought like 20 something tickets for that night.
Really?
So like they were joking that it's the Ranae Wilson fan club.
It was the Wilson show that night. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Which was super fun. And I had to, my dad, God bless him. He's such a proud dad. He,
all dads are.
He loves to sit right in front, and I caught him with his phone out, and during and I was like, that's a big old no-no. So during intermission, I heard someone on the other side of the curtain, and I could tell it was my sister, and I go, Rachel, tell Dad to put his phone away.
What you should have done is gone back and called him.
I should have. Well, so I've been very fortunate that for 3 summers, so Cranert Center, I worked at Cranert Center for 6 years with their advancement team.
Right.
And they do Uncorked throughout the year on Thursdays. And they came to me back in, I think, 20...
What is Uncorked? I'm unfamiliar.
Yeah. Okay, so Uncorked is, usually it's on Thursdays from 5 to 7. And they have a variety of things. They have different musical acts perform there. They have, whether it's the School of Music, whether it's lyric theater, they program shows basically to come in on Thursdays and do some kind of performance. Okay. Push for Art is another one. They have all kinds of RSOs on campus or SROs.
So just kind of a showcase place.
Yeah, yeah. And so I was working there, and they came to me and asked if I would be interested in doing one summer, because they knew that I, you know, do theater and do musical theater. And they said, we were thinking about maybe doing some kind of like Broadway show tunes. And I was like, absolutely. So I did an evening of Broadway and did it 3 summers in a row. And we had like our biggest turnout one year was, I think we had close to 300 people come and just stand in the lobby and sit down and watch it. And my dad sits right in the front and records like every single song. And what's been so great about that is that I'm able to invite whoever I want to come and perform. And I have Tommy Howie, who, if you ever needing anyone to play piano, he is one of the most gifted performers I've ever met. Really? And I'm so fortunate to call him my friend and to have him as like my right-hand man constantly for Uncorked. Justin Brower, who's also amazing, did it with me the first year, and he was fabulous to work with as well. And there's so much talent in this community.
I agree.
And
I wholeheartedly agree.
And part of the reason I love doing theater is because even if I'm not in a show, part of the reason I love going to see shows is because I'm constantly looking as a director, because I get to direct these and curate them and, you know, pick what we do. Yeah. And so I'm constantly looking for new people to perform. And so like, you better believe during SpongeBob, I'm watching every single one of those performers going, ooh, I bet they would sound really good up on stage with us too.
Clever.
Mm-hmm. and I try every year to get new people every time we do it, because again, this community has so many people. I want to broadcast as many people as I can and give people an opportunity, especially people who maybe if they haven't been given an opportunity yet, and I feel like they deserve that chance. Like I really want to give them that opportunity.
That's beautiful right there.
Thanks.
Yeah. No, I mean it. I mean, I feel that kind of way about this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm new in, you know, I'm only been in town a few years. Mm-hmm. And I'm just now, after 5 years, 6 years of working in Parkland, getting to know people. Yeah. But this has given me an excuse to call people up and say, hey, let's go get coffee.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's been phenomenal. And I've made, I don't know, like 4 or 5 new friends already.
Well, that's the best thing.
But touching base with folks like you, who I probably won't get to work too much with on a regular basis. Sure. Kind of thing. But
yeah. Well, and I think that's the beautiful thing about theater. I mean, I think any kind of art form that you're in, they always say the arts is such a small world, and it really is, because you find connections everywhere. Right. And, you know, somehow find out you have a mutual friend, and you're like, my friend Abby Gailey, so her and my friend Chelsea and Ariane, we call each other the Lady Nerds. We met during Pride and Prejudice at Parkland.
Oh, okay.
And when Abby and I became Facebook friends, we were like, I knew we would have mutual friends, but I assumed it would be in this area. And she looks at me and she goes, how do you know Holly Height? And I look at her and I go, how do you know Holly Height? Because Holly is someone I went to middle school and high school with in North Carolina.
Really?
And Abby's from Maryland. And I'm like, how do you know Holly Height? She went to school with her in college at UNC Chapel Hill. So Abby and I were both in school in North Carolina close to the same time. And it turns out that Abby's aunt was my 7th grade teacher in middle school.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is the most bizarre world.
Small, it's a tiny world.
I know. But I think that's the beauty of it too, is not only finding those connections, but like my best relationships, whether it's romantic, platonic, whatever the situation is, I have made the best relationships in my life from being in the arts and meeting people and connecting with people. And it's such a...
because I'm going to throw this out, see if you agree with it.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with the definition of what home is, because I've moved around so much that, having one place and being forced to move and being choiced to move, having a hometown is a concept I grapple with. Mm-hmm. But there's always, but once I find the theater crowd, there's always a little bit of family, and there's always this little bit of, like you said, there's love in almost every group that I find. And especially now that I'm finding my footing in the local theater here in Champaign, I'm finding more and more of those chosen family members. And it's like I said, and it's super nice. And I don't know if you feel the same way.
Absolutely.
Using those terms of chosen
absolutely.
family kind of thing. So
I think chosen family is such a perfect way to describe it, because I think oftentimes, there's so many people out there who maybe don't have a good relationship with their families, and they're looking for that connection and that love and that acceptance. And I think being in theater gives a lot of people that home that they have been missing.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I also think that the theater arts and the performing arts are much better at, I won't say teaching us how to be better to each other, teaching us empathy and sympathy. But I think it gives us a more concentrated practice in how to be empathetic and sympathetic and, put on somebody else's shoes and walk that mile. And
I think oftentimes, because we are being asked to play these roles and really dig in and dive into these characters, oftentimes, like, say you have someone who's playing, a serial killer. You don't have to have murdered someone to know what it is they're feeling, Right. And it's finding that connection with that character and understanding like what led them to this, like what feelings. Right. And one of the best advice I got from a teacher is we had someone in our class who was talking about their character, and they're like, I don't like this person. And she's like, no. Your job as this character is to be their biggest cheerleader. You have to love your character and understand that they are the way they are for a reason, and figure out what that reason is so that you can try to make other people feel something. And I think when we're diving into these characters, so often, other people are watching us work. And they're, when we're interacting during these shows with people, sometimes for me, people say that I'm super outgoing, and usually I'm pretty upbeat most of the time. And I I like being happy. It's great. But I love really, really dark theater. Like the more like tragic and like thought-provoking it is, the better it is. Like I want to do shows where people come out of it completely wrecked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think this is where you and I start to diverge. First of all, I agree with you on all of that.
Yeah.
I think that those are the reasons why we learn to be better human beings toward each other through the arts. Mm-hmm. Because we're not looking at it from the outside. We force ourselves. Because one of my professors at theater said I was writing a character analysis for something, and he says, "No, this is what Mike thinks. What does the character think?" Mm-hmm. And that was all he said, but he made me go back and redo it. And I'm okay. Mm-hmm. And I literally sat on my bedroom floor for hours, just putting my head through it. And okay, now I get it. Mm-hmm. But it's finding that somebody else's lens, mm-hmm. Which I think was the interesting experiment there. Mm-hmm. I have said on this podcast, and to most people I've ever met in my life in the arts, that I am not a fan of realism. Mm-hmm. It sounds from some of the comments you just made. Mm-hmm. Are you a fan of realism?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Why? And again, this is. Just go ahead. I'll quit talking.
I took a psychology class in college, mm-hmm. and I really love figuring out why people are the way they are, why they mm-hmm. think the way they do. I think that a lot of times when you go see musicals, I think there's a big debate sometimes between plays and musicals about, musicals are just fluff. So often I've heard people say, oh, they're fluff, and it's just a big spectacle. And I was like, you do understand that sometimes doing musicals is a lot harder mm-hmm. because, you're having to do acting on top of singing, right. on top of choreography. Like there's so many more moving parts. But then again, when you're doing plays, it's like all you have is you in that stage and the people you're performing with. Like you don't have a song to kind of take you away for a minute.
You don't have that structure.
Yeah.
That support.
And I love going to see shows and being in shows that really, really make you think. But they're situations where, oh, I've been through this. Or, oh yeah, I've seen something like this happen. Because to me, going to shows like that and sitting in a space, watching people experience something that maybe I've gone through or have known someone who's gone through that, to me, that hits so much deeper than something that's, like Wicked, It's a beautiful show.
It is. It's great fun.
I saw it for the first time just, in the past 5 years, which I hate to admit that, but there was, when she started performing Defying Gravity.
Oh yeah, the end of Act 1, you were just weeping.
But here's the thing, I didn't even realize I was crying. All of a sudden I was like, my face is wet.
I've seen
it's coming out everywhere.
Yeah, I've seen it twice on the big stage like that. Both times at that moment, kaboom! And oh my God.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Every time.
Yeah. But like the likelihood of something like that happening in your life. Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoy shows that help you as especially if someone doesn't know a lot about theater and they're going and experiencing something, being able to see something that they can really relate to, right. and it opens their eyes to mm-hmm. theater in a way that they've never experienced.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. Because you say something, I love seeing things that make you think.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you on that as well. Realism bores me. And
that can happen. It can happen.
See, I love Wicked because it's not real.
Sure.
The human element is there.
Well, you probably want to escape the everyday mundane.
I'm an escapist, yes. Yeah. I don't need to delve in deeper to the human condition.
Sure.
That frightens me just a little bit. And not that I don't appreciate it, but that's, but now that you say that, I see that in your work too. You're very good at that.
Thanks.
And I'm no actor. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Could not do it.
It's why there's a lot of, I have been very, very lucky to have worked with, like yourself, so many wonderful directors in this community. But there are still, I'm to the point now because of work and life and everything, like I have to really want to do a show, to audition for a show now, just because, it takes up a lot of time. It's a big commitment, but it also has to be a director that I really want to work with. And I've been fortunate to cross people off my list, but there's still a handful of people that are at the top of my list that I really, really want to work with.
Yeah.
And I don't even care what the show is. If I know that they're directing, I want to do a show.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, whether or not I get cast, that's another story, but I will audition.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think that's fair. And that kind of goes back to the finding your family. If there's people you want to work with, you will.
Absolutely.
Project is, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I want to work with these people and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just heartwarming to me. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
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 Agreed.
And I hope you know that you have built quite the name for yourself in this community and are spoken of very highly.
I'm finding people keep trickling that out.
It's true.
And I'm finding it, I guess humbling is the right word. I don't know. If I find it difficult to accept.
Sure.
And I can't tell you why. And I think I kind of think I don't want it. I don't want that kind of accolade because now I got to live up to it.
Sure.
It's like, I'm just me and I'm going to do stupid stuff and the next one's going to stink and,
But you can tell that you're passionate. I think that it speaks volumes when you have a director who, lots of directors are passionate about the things that they do. But it's like, I feel like people like you, and I'm not just saying this because I'm here sitting with you right now, but like you go the extra mile for your shows, and like that, hearing your reputation as a director and who you are as a person, that's the reason I auditioned for your show.
Really?
It's not because I wanted to do the show. I mean, I think I needed something at that time. I wanted something to fill my time just because I needed something to occupy myself with. Sure. But that wasn't a show that I necessarily was like super interested in doing. And it's nothing against the show. Like I have heard great things about the show and I know the station had done it. But like I did it because you were directing and I heard that you were great to work with. And I had heard nothing but wonderful things. So that's why I auditioned.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
Again, that makes me suspicious. And so thank you.
Yeah,
very
of
much.
course.
What about, you said you're now into creative writing.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I took a creative writing class when I was in college and really, really, really loved it. We spent a whole summer writing all kinds of stories, and I kind of worked it more than I have in the past. When I was younger, I used to write a lot, and I think my mom always thought that I was going to grow up and become a writer, and kind of stopped for a long time. And I was taking summer courses and needed something to do, and I really, really loved it. And the unfortunate part is I went to go pick up all my materials like once the new school year had started, and apparently I'd gone one day too late and they had thrown it all away.
No.
And I was devastated.
No.
Because of course at the time, like I didn't have any backups of anything, because a lot of it was like stuff we had written in class or
just scribbled notes and notebooks. Oh,
yeah, I was devastated. But I still have some of the work that I had done and have some samples. And, weirdly enough, my movement for the actor class in college, we had done this exercise where we were doing law band work, and we were going through all the different movements. And at the end of it, our teacher had us lay down on these yoga mats, and we had to visualize our body as a house. And she started at your feet and like would work your way up your body. And so internally you're having to like visualize this house. And of course, I'm visualizing my parents' house, like what's most familiar. And it wasn't until I got to my stomach, and I remember sitting there, and had been going through different rooms in the house, got up to my stomach. I was looking in at my brother's room, and my brother was in there. I was looking at him, and there was like the most angelic music playing. It was so beautiful. And I remember I didn't want to leave that room. And she was starting to move and say, okay, now we're going to move up towards, your chest. And I remember thinking, like, I don't want to leave. Like, I don't want to go anywhere. And eventually I did. But then once I left his room, all of a sudden, like, everything opened up. And it was like a house I'd never seen before. Everything was brand new. And afterwards, we had to immediately start writing. And so I ended up writing a story called My Body is a House. And I don't think a lot of people recognize, when you say like, oh my God, I felt sick to my stomach, it's because your emotion is being held in your stomach.
Right.
And through writing that, I realized the reason I didn't want to leave that room is because I was terrified of losing my brother. So my brother actually passed away back in 2011. And this was years before that had happened.
Oh, really?
And so at his funeral, actually, I read that story in tribute to him.
Was he sick? Did you know this was coming? Or?
No. He had spina bifida, so he was paralyzed from the waist down.
Okay.
And I think that he had gone into another seizure, and I think his heart just gave out.
Right.
He started having a lot more seizures, and he was 30 when he passed. And I think that he'd probably had probably close to 20 surgeries throughout his lifetime, like had steel rods in his back.
Right.
And,
so, so he had not been 100%.
Yeah.
For most of his life then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he was in great health for all intents and purposes. It's just, I think once he started having the seizures, it just was taking out of him more and more. Yeah. So which is why when we did She Kills Monsters, like that really hit home for me, like especially the ending and listening to them talk to each other. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my stars. Yeah.
Yeah. And so after I did that story, it has been it's on my bucket list that I actually want to write a children's book.
Oh, that's marvelous.
And I want to associate, use my brother as kind of like the character of it and kind of work around his disability and kind of talk about how just because he's considered disabled doesn't mean he's unable.
Right.
And kind of use him as like a character to be able to speak to the community of people who maybe are also wheelchair bound and who also, deal with, everyday struggles of finding where they belong and showing them as kind of a superhero in a way and being able to cater to that community.
Oh, yeah. That sounds beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah. Have you written it or?
No. My family knows it's something that I want to do, and I keep it's something that is very, very close to my heart that I know I'm going to do. It's just a matter of sitting down and focusing and doing it and finding the right words for it. Yeah. Yeah.
I would think something that close, something that deep inside of you is going to be challenging, especially if you want to boil it down to a kid's book.
Yeah. I mean, because eventually
like young readers, like young picture book or
how
do you see it?
So when I first thought about it, I was like, oh, we'll just do one book. But then I started thinking a little bit more wide about it and thinking, what if I did kind of like a series? And I immediately started thinking big picture of what if I created this character who also had friends, who all of his friends all had different types of challenges.
Right.
And finding and dedicating each book to a different character, and they were all connected, but then using that as a platform to then travel around and do public speaking and talk to these kids and give representation where maybe there isn't, so that young kids can see themselves in these books and be like, oh, I want to be that character.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So figuring out what that looks like.
Yeah, that's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got me thinking. So So what got you into, I mean, so how did you said you've always been writing even as a kid? And,
yeah. I think,
so is that right up there with always been acting and singing? And
yeah, I think I started, I won some like writing competitions when I was younger, when I was in 3rd or 4th grade. So 2nd and 3rd grade, we were living in Indiana. I don't remember a lot of my time there because I got into a bicycle accident and fractured my skull.
Oh, man.
So my parents always jokingly say, like, we knew you were hard-headed. Yeah, I'm stubborn. So
Mom and Dad were funny.
My parents are, gosh, they're fantastic. My parents have actually been married since they were 17, which is insane to me.
Wow. So how many years at this point?
They have been married for, this year will be 42 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats to them.
I know, right? I just got my mom a Mother's Day card that said, thanks for putting up with Dad.
I was saying, after 42
he
years.
He thought it was funny.
I get my intellect from Dad.
Yeah. 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 No, but they, I think, I was writing a lot then, and then I kind of stopped just because, I got busy doing other things and got really into theater.
Phases, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So have you ever written for the theater?
I have not.
Just out of sheer curiosity?
I have not.
Ever had a desire?
No.
Done. Okay.
I have a lot of friends who are really, again, I'm going to bring up Tommy Howie. Tommy is known for, he is so good with words and he has some of the most amazing poetry, and he is constantly having people say, you need to publish this. Mm-hmm. And he is someone who I feel like could create an epic piece of work for the theater, whether it's a play or a musical or whatever. I have more of a desire to direct and very specific shows though, and figuring out like what spaces I would want to direct those in. It terrifies me to think about doing, like, watching SpongeBob. I could never. Like doing a production that big with that many people, like I don't know how y'all do it. Like even She Kills Monsters, like that's too many people. That terrifies me.
There wasn't 10 of us there.
That's too many. That is, like, I'm thinking like I want like 5 people tops.
Godot, 2 on stage at a time.
Go. Actually, so I don't know if I should say this because someone might take my idea. Children's Hour is one of my favorite shows.
Okay, yeah.
I would love to see that done, and I would love to direct it. And I know I should probably like submit it at some point, but I don't know. I get so nervous about, because I've never directed other than like doing Uncorked, or in high school I did a Neil Simon 1 act, but other than that, it's like
singing. You just get used to it.
Sure. I feel like maybe I should start with like maybe assistant directing and like working underneath to kind of like watch the process.
Nah, you've done enough shows. You know what it means to be a director.
Yeah.
You've been in enough.
Yeah.
Just do it.
I should. Maybe I will.
You heard it here, folks. She's going to do it. We're going to strong arm her into directing the Children's Hour.
I've had a lot of great influence, so I mean, I'd be in great company, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, we got your back. No worries. Mm-hmm. Okay. Last few questions here.
Sure.
What about? Tell me what about either theater or writing or the whole shebang? Mm-hmm. What about it turns you on? Mm. And I use that phrase very specifically.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's the connections connections with the characters, as well as connecting with the people in your show. Like I said, I have made some of the best relationships with people from theater, going back all the way to high school. Right. And I think to me, that's the most appealing part of it is I know that every time I do a show, I get so excited about who am I going to meet this time?
Right.
Like, what new person am I going to meet that inspires me and gets me excited? And I'm a big fan of when I go see shows and someone has really blown me away and like really truly spoken to me with their performance. I will go out of my way to not only try to see them after the show to tell them how much like I really enjoyed the performance, but I often will find them on social media if they are on social media
and stalk them.
Yes, I will find
I was
you.
Kidding.
No, I mean, luckily I know of most of the people that I see perform. Maybe it's my first time seeing them, but I will send them a private message and literally give them like a review of themselves and like but I'm very specific because I know as a performer myself, it means so much to me when someone is very intentional with and more, not even like, oh my God, like that was such a great job. You did so wonderful. But like, I remember seeing Next to Normal on Broadway years ago. Alice Ripley came out after the show and I told her, watching you in moments when you weren't saying anything was so moving. And like watching your character process everything that was happening and you actively listening to what other people were saying about you was breathtaking. And she was signing my program and she looks up at me and she goes, thank you so much for noticing. And I was like, it's that kind of stuff as a performer myself that I love giving to other people. And I want them to know, like Spencer Hazen's a great example. My friend and I went to see SpongeBob and they were so fascinated with like every single one of his characters. He did a fantastic job.
Yeah, he was all over that stage.
He was all over that stage. But she said specifically the jellyfish scene. She said there was something about that scene where it's like he never stopped moving. He was very intentional about that character. And so I made a point to be like, hey, when you have a free minute, I need you to give me a call because I need to give you some compliments. And it's too much to text. Because I especially with, you know, younger people too, like as they're still getting into it, I want them to know like, hey, people notice you. They see you. But you're doing great.
But I think you're taking the extra step and saying, people are seeing you. You're great. This is why.
Yes.
I think is the important part that you're getting at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't do that with everyone because I don't want to feel like I'm lying.
Right.
So like if I see people after the show, like they may have done a great job, but if they didn't blow me away, I know that sounds awful. I'm not going to say like,
well, you know, it's you don't want to gush over everybody.
No.
That's your grandma's job.
Exactly. Go home for that.
Dad's got video for years. Anything about the art form that turned you off?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Without hesitation. Holy crow. Most people will go,
No. So for me, it's called drama for a reason sometimes, you know? Right. And for me, the thing that turns me off is when there is so much drama outside of the show itself.
Right.
That is just like, y'all, we are here. We are all working together for this show. I don't care if so-and-so is mad at this person or who did what. Like, leave it outside. Yeah. Like, we are all adults here working together. And I think as people grow older, it gets easier to like focus. But you know, being in the arts, you work with people of all ages. Right. And so, I mean, I take that into account, obviously, because, you know, no matter what show you're doing, you're going to have people younger than you, people older than you.
There's always at least one angsty person.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I mean, we were all there at one point.
Yeah, granted, but I'm getting older.
Yeah.
And it's easy for me to let it go, but it's also getting real easy for me to just ignore in other people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, whatever.
Well, and I think that it makes it, I think it makes it a lot easier, especially if you're a director, to think, okay, maybe this isn't someone I want to work with again.
Right.
You know?
Well, that happens, especially if you're, if you're directing more than you are acting. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
It's easy to, you're in control. I don't want to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care how bad the show's going to be without you. It's not worth my blood pressure.
Be like, oh, this person. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that totally.
Yeah.
Is there any other art form that you would like to try that you have not at this point?
I think I'd like to try painting.
Why?
It seems very therapeutic. I was just explaining to my niece, she came home from school one day, and she's like, Nene, I'm not an artist. She goes, look how bad this is. And I said, well, did you use, your pencil or pen to draw that? She's like, yeah. And I said, well, then you're an artist. I said, who says that you're not? And she's like, but it's not good. I said, according to who? I said, just because you may not think it's good, someone else may look at it and think it's wonderful. Mm-hmm. I said, it's all subjective to whoever's looking at it. And I think I struggle with that a lot growing up. Like I had taken a costume design class and I was like, God, this is so hard. And trying to draw the figures and everything. But, I don't know. I see, again, Katie Burke was talking about how she's gotten, painting, back into it and everything. And I was like, man, maybe I need to go to one of these open painting classes and it seems like to me, it's something that you can just not have to think about and just allow the paintbrush to just do what it wants to do. And it doesn't have to be anything. Right.
The way you phrase that, it sounds like it's almost a polar opposite of what we do in the theater. Yeah. Where everything is so detailed and specific and rehearsed and painting doesn't need to be that. It literally is just whatever you want it to be. A little bit of a zen moment there. Yeah. Is there any other art form you would never want to try?
Man, that's tough. I don't, after doing She Kills Monsters, I don't think swords are my thing.
But you've tried it.
I have tried it. I don't know that I am coordinated enough to go that route. And I was very pleased watching everyone else do it, and they were so wonderful to watch. And I was like, I am so glad that I do not have to be doing this the way that they are.
You wielded a sword in that.
I mean, not much.
Yeah, but you did it.
Yeah, and I died instantly.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was in the script. Not
sure.
Not because you were bad at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything that you've never tried that you wouldn't? See, I won't give you that one because you have done it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And you can say, oh, okay, I've tried it.
Nah. Man, I don't know. I'm genuinely stumped right now.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I love this question because we're about 50-50 at this point. Anybody I talk to, they either have an answer of something, I know I'm never going to do this, and they've got a reason why, or they're like you, I was like, I'll try anything once, kind of thing.
I think for me, art is very subjective. It can be so many different types of things, right? Yeah. So like I think about, like I almost think about like martial arts.
Okay.
Types things. And I don't know that that's something I'm fascinated by it. And I think it's super cool. And I get super pumped watching other people do it, but it's not for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Again, coordination, not really my thing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm not.
Yeah.
I can't dance.
And I'm getting a little bit older, so it's like I don't really like. I go to the gym to do all that stuff. I don't need to. And for me, that's kind of like an art form in itself a little bit sometimes. Strength training.
Gym rat kind of thing.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolute last question.
Yeah.
Is there any place where we can see or experience some of your art?
Next time I get cast in a show.
Okay.
Yeah. I should maybe start figuring out a way to post some more stuff.
It's not who you are. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, I think of like visual arts so often more than like performing arts as like a better way to like showcase.
Okay, yeah.
Because, so often with performing arts, it's like you're not supposed to record.
Right. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's so transient in nature that
I mean, anytime anyone wants to go out to karaoke, like, let's go. I'm always down for a good karaoke night.
Karaoke in Urbana. So we will see you the next time you're in a show, and you'll let us know. And
absolutely, I am hoping that maybe Craner is. Tommy and I are just waiting for them to tell us that they want us to do Uncorked this summer. So I'm patiently waiting.
Ooh,
so hopefully, I will keep you updated.
Yeah, we will definitely put that in there. Okay.
Yeah,
cool. Thank you very much for
You're so welcome.
spending the evening with me and
thanks for having
a
me.
good time. This is lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging around and geeking out with us. If you enjoyed the show, hit the like and subscribe buttons. And more importantly, join the conversation and leave us a message or comment. We'd love to hear about your nerdy art. Thanks again, and join us next week for more Art Nerds.